Hi there guys, welcome back. So what are the best paid positions in rugby? Well, eSportif, I saw this published in Rugby Pass, have produced some statistics on salaries by position in the top 3 European leagues, the Premiership, the Pro 14, the top 14, and have a look. So I'll pop them up on the side here. Really interesting viewing. And I just wanted to comment on some of the positions that are interesting, that are surprising, and maybe some reasons why they might be there. And I'd like to know your opinions on why certain positions are better paid than others, and some that you think are either underpaid or overpaid. Anyway, let's have a quick look. Unsurprisingly, in the top of the table there, we can see 10s pretty consistently across the board. Why do fly halves get paid the big bucks? Well, I mean, they run the attacking game. They pretty much dictate the kicking strategy. You know, they've got a high skill set. They're the figurehead, and they're very often the key goal kicker. So they do an awful lot. They have a lot to say in how many points the team scores. I think it makes sense. They're under a lot of pressure. I think for them to be the best paid is perfectly fine. Let me know if you disagree. So fly halves up there. Interestingly though, behind fly halves it was pretty clear that second rows are incredibly well paid and very well sought after. I mean, why is this? You might think that some other positions with more specialist skills potentially, like scrum half, might come above them, but no. And I think really this is largely down to the physical aspect. Height, size, power, and can you have someone with height and athletic ability? It puts the number of people you can pick from, you know, to the bottom end, to the back end of the distribution curve. There just aren't that many people out there with that sort of height and an athletic ability, and they play rugby. I mean, so when it's in scarce supply and demand means things cost more, and I think that's the main reason. If you think I'm doing second rows a disservice and actually their skill set and certain things like that means they're paid a lot higher, let me know, or maybe it's a more dangerous position, but I think it's a bit more of a supply and demand thing for me. Then a couple more I want to comment on the higher paid end. Tight head, number 3, significantly higher paid than the loose head. Now why is that? Well, whenever we hear scrummaging specialists talk about scrummaging, write about scrummaging, they always say tight head is the harder position. It's more technical, more force of the scrum goes through it. It is the linchpin of the scrum. You know, it's harder, basically harder position to play scrummaging wise. If you don't have a good tight head and your scrum's in problems, you're going to struggle to win games. Hence why they're paid, I believe that's why they're paid such big bucks. You know, the likes of Furlong, Carl Sinclair are going to be paid very well indeed. Then the last position that seems to crop up quite a lot is number 8. Now that's an interesting one. And maybe it's down to the physical aspect. You need someone who's big, you know, but maybe not too big. They need to be quick, they can't be too slow, they need to be powerful, possibly have pretty good handling skills as well, and that sort of player is pretty hard to find. Even though everyone wants to play number 8 because it's a cool position, not many people have the skill and the physical aspect to play it at the top level. So high quality number 8s, very highly sought after, and we can probably see that in how much they're paid. Now, before I talk about the lower end, one that's quite surprising potentially is 13s. Outside centres seem pretty well paid when I thought maybe there's going to be a lot of them. I can't see there being a shortage of 13s because, again, it's a pretty exciting position to play. Everyone wants to play it. You're kind of involved in the game a bit more than a winger. Maybe you don't have to get your nose into the dirt as much as the forwards. You get to do a bit of everything. So why is it so highly paid? Well, maybe it's something to do with the defensive aspect. Often, I was thinking also, they're often the star player, those sorts of players that really catch the eye, you know, like your Gary Ringrose type player. You know, they're often just really exciting box office players, so maybe it's kind of a bit more of that stardust factor. Anyway, let me know if you think why 13s are particularly well paid. And surprisingly low paid. Well, help me out with these because in some ways I'm scratching my head. Scrum half, I thought they'd be much higher up the list. Very specialist positions, specialist skills with your passing and your kicking. And also you've got to be able to manage your game when often your head's down, quite looking the ruck quite a lot. So really, really hard. Is one reason that there's quite a lot of supply. There's only one position on the starting team available. And there aren't many positions in rugby, certainly at the highest level, where you can be a small guy and still play at the highest level. So maybe it's just slightly oversubscribed. Anyway, hooker, I'm a bit lost with this one. I can't think why they're so low down the pecking order. Very specialist skill in your throwing. You know, the line-out is so important. You've got to have a great thrower. Plus, obviously, the hooking in the scrum, you might say hooking's gone out a little bit out of the game, but that's still there. Very high attrition rate, tough. You know, why isn't it higher paid? I don't know. And then finally, open side flanker. That's interesting because sevens often catch the headlines. They're your star act, you know, like your Tom Curry, your Watson type player. Why aren't they higher paid? That's a bit weird. I think again it's possibly a bit of supply and demand. Everyone wants to play flanker. It's an exciting position. You get to whiz around the pitch. There's a bit more freedom. You get to go stuck in. Also, you get to go out in the backs as well. You know, it's a cool position to play. Plus, the physical attributes kind of fit a larger proportion of the playing population, size, height-wise. So you probably just get a lot of players who want to play seven. So maybe teams can pick them up a bit easier so they feel they don't have to pay them quite as much. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on some of the positions and why they're in the positions they are. I would love to know your ideas on why certain positions are highly paid, or medium paid or lowly paid. Anyway, just a bit of fun, guys. Let me know your thoughts and I'll catch you next time.